All right, we are going to start in a couple of minutes. I'm just going to wait for a few people to hop on. One thing about doing Zoom, you can see what's going on up here in the hair. And if you have any questions, you can just ping them in the chat. And then obviously both of y'all know me. So you can always DM me on Instagram if you have any questions. I am going to share my screen. And I don't host too many Zoom meetings. I attend a lot of them. So bear with me if I have any kind of logistical issues. So the reason why I wanted to give this presentation today is because when I had Gray, it was really tough for me. And I know, y'all probably experienced this too. I mean, I had Gray at the peak of the pandemic. And so I believe a lot of things that moms already normally experience were just amplified during that time. And so I was super stressed, overwhelmed, emotional. I didn't know how to get my life back together. That was even recognizable before I had Gray. And when I came back to work, I realized that, oh, this is actually kind of common with my clients. They felt like they couldn't get into a nice groove or anything. And the feelings of overwhelmed and stress continued until they were able to get that routine. So it wasn't really specific to a timeline of postpartum. And so today, like the title is Postpartum Problems, but a lot of people will identify with postpartum being that first six weeks to 6 months after having a baby, when reality, these problems and emotions can linger for, I've seen, up to 3 years when people finally come and seek me out to train with me one-on-one. So today I want to talk about like those common feelings and how to reverse engineer them to feel confident and more motivated towards this idea of how we really want life to look like. As a mom, you envision this white picket fence and you being so excited about being a new mom and engaging with your kid in this particular way. But as a working mom myself, and I'm sure you can relate, time gets cut pretty easily. Responsibilities come up a lot, like even with like my son right now going through a lot of evaluations for the autism spectrum. It's just like life kind of hits you. And so it's hard to find this consistent groove of feeling like you got it together and you feel confident as a mom and in your body. So that's what I want to talk about today. I want to give you strategies to take home today after this presentation that you can implement in your lifestyle to feel more like this ideal self that you want to feel like with your kids and with yourself. So I love this quote. It is, motherhood is the greatest thing and the hardest thing. And I really relate to this because I believe you can hold both ideas. You can be excited as a mom and love your kids and love the role of being a mom, but you can also feel like it has its own unique challenges. So, who am I? I know that both of y'all know me, but just to give a little rundown, I am a mom, of two, but one is incubating still. I am due in early August. Hopefully he comes early. So hopefully I'm in July with you, Claire. I am a business owner. So right now I own the gym, and then I own a children's boutique, and then I'm launching like some online stuff as well. So by the time it's said and done, I'm own and operate a few different businesses at this point. And then I'm also a fitness instructor and a nutrition coach. And so I have been a fitness instructor for, I think, 7, 8 years now, for a decent amount of time. And being in this health industry, even as a mom, it was still kind of hard to transition back into this lifestyle that I had prior to Gray. And that's what I want to really talk about today, are the strategies that I was able to implement in order to feel confident in my skin again. There was a lot of things that shifted during pregnancy, physically and mentally. And I really did think that I would be a part of the statistics of the bounce back. And I know that, you don't want to associate with the bounce back and that it's not real. But in my idea, I thought, well, I'm active, I'm working on the floor, I know the exercises, I know what to eat. And that just wasn't my reality. There was no bounce back for me. I probably looked like I was crushing it on Instagram because I was working out and I was eating healthy, but the reality was my physicality did not match pre-baby up until like a year postpartum. And then my mental health did not match my pre-baby experience. Like, it took a long time for me to just recognize who I was mentally. And I even did all of these mental exercises prior to delivering Gray. I shedded my identity. I shared gratitude for my new chapter in life. I went, I feel like, above and beyond mentally to prepare myself to be a mom, and that still didn't give me enough tools or reps underneath my belt to truly feel good and confident and just like happy about that chapter in my life. So I know like what people typically go through, the struggles, and I'm happy to say that I'm on the other side of that. Now I've been able to, through different trial and errors, figure out like what works for me and my lifestyle in order to show up at a capacity that I can, in order to feel good and calm about life, and then also really enjoy the time with my son and my family. And I just want that for everyone. So today I'm going to talk about common obstacles you may face as a new mom, and I am going to also talk about obstacles that you might face with multiples, with three, or with a second one, or even still now, even if it might be, a couple of years postpartum. So I will talk about how it will linger throughout motherhood if you don't address these obstacles, and how fitness, nutrition, and mindset work help support these obstacles and breaking through them in order to be happier and joyful in your life. I'm going to give you strategies that you can implement. So yeah, we can talk about like how we feel now and how we want to feel, but there's not going to be any change unless we have strategies in place to make those efforts to change. And we want to make it easy too. And then what happens if you just continue to survive, like being in survival mode, which we can all relate to, because it's easy to like wake up, feed ourselves, get the kids dressed, run out the car, go to work, hop on a Zoom call at lunch, and then go and pick up the kids and cook dinner and bedtime routine, and then go to sleep. Like, it's very easy to get stuck in that. So the obstacles that I've noticed with my clients and myself especially postpartum, but that can linger, is that you don't really know, like if you're looking to get back into your health routine, you don't really know how to do that. You might dabble. There's a lot of dabbling in fitness, particularly, but you don't know how to actually do it regularly. And then you just don't really know what to eat. Everyone knows, like, oh, I should probably eat vegetables. I know I should eat a salad, but I'll talk specifically about what typically happens when you're on this really confusing roller coaster of nutrition. And then you don't really have time to do any of these things because you got kids and you're you're starting a business or you're working in a really, high level job. And then there's just no motivation because you're like, well, what's the point of even starting? And you can also experience just like some lingering emotional stuff that could be hormonal or just like the season that you're in. So I'm going to talk about that. I think the first thing to start with is just the lack of motivation. And I want to rephrase this and just feeling emotionally not stimulated with wanting to change. And when I experienced these feelings, I just felt mainly overwhelmed. I felt like there's so much on my plate. There was so much going on. The stresses kind of outweighed my capacity to do anything about that. And common obstacles are just like feeling like you can only get through the day, and then that's it. Like you can't even get a shower, or nothing really is sparking your interest or joy, and nothing is pulling that motivation out of you to do anything more out of life. Um, or you could just be feeling like, okay, I want to try something new, but I don't have time, or I see all these obstacles in front of it. And so it's just going to be too much. I don't even want to start because I don't want to fail. And then another thing is just like, don't even see the point of trying for whatever reason. But the truth is that when you are feeling these emotions or lack of emotions, it's because you're primarily alone. There's no support. And what I found was I wanted to be a part of a support group postpartum, but I was a working mom and I ran my own business. I ran one when I had Gray. And I was like, okay, well, when am I going to have time to go to these support groups? And when I would go to these support groups, I couldn't always relate to the moms there. And I just felt like I couldn't talk about my struggles because they were different from another mother's struggles. But because of that, it just kept me isolated and alone. And I didn't have an opportunity to have a coach because COVID hit. And so I didn't know like where I would find one, who it would be. And then I was also working. So I didn't know like logistically how that would work. So if you had someone in your corner to support you on a one-on-one level, like they can guide you to explore different areas in your life to respark that passion. And what I really like to coach, and I give this strategy to you to implement today, is to explore variety in your life. It's so easy to get caught in going to the same restaurants all the time and going to the same kid activity place or going to the same coffee shop or the same park. But I encourage you to add more variety and look out into what is bringing you joy and add new things to your week and to your plans and to your weekend plans to try to respark that joy. So for example, if you really like walking or you want to be active and you want to bring your kids out, here in Austin we have, Ladybird Lake Trail. If you threw your kid in a stroller and walked out there with your husband, you'd be hitting so many different things, and you could start resparking that joy and that passion again. And so another thing you can do is, again, have a support system. And I recommend one-on-one at first until you can find your tribe, but it could just be your friends. Like I've had some friends reach out to me a lot recently, and they've kind of resparked my joy into our friendship because I feel like I'm supported and I don't feel alone, and I feel like I'm being heard, and that my worries and obstacles aren't crazy or out of the norm. So these are some tools and tactics I suggest if you are finding yourself in that boat where you're just like too emotional or overwhelmed, or you just don't have any motivation to change or do anything to get you out of this survival mode or box. So another thing is that you may feel like you don't have time. And honestly, like this could be a fact. It is very much a fact in my world, and to the point where I identified it being an issue. So when time I felt like I don't have time to work out or to go and have a mocktail with my friends, I sat down and I actually sought out a coach to help me with time management and productivity so I could make sure that I'm utilizing my time in a better way and prioritizing the things that would fill my cup up, and that can also get my work duties done, my responsibilities done, and be able to continue to grow my business. So you may be feeling that you don't have time, and that could absolutely be true because sometimes we don't even shower. And then, like I said earlier, it's like you wake up, you got to get the kids ready, like you might not shower, and then you work all day, you got to pick up the kids, and it's just like boom, boom, boom. When do you have time for yourself? And oftentimes, I know my husband and I get stuck in this rut. Is like at the end of the day, everyone's in bed, or the kids are in bed, and we just want to watch TV. So if this is you, I highly suggest, like, again, identifying where you can find the time or getting some guides on how to organize your time. What really helped me align myself into rearranging my time was my values. I came back to my values. What are my values? For me personally, it's family. Family is a really big deal. And that actually starts with my son. And then my husband, if he can join, because I feel like he works more than I do. And then after that, it's my business. And I have a business hierarchy. So, making sure that I carve out time for, my son, my husband, my business, and me, like I'm in there too. And so if I want to make sure that I have these values practiced on a daily basis, I need to be intentional with my time. And it's called like time blocking or time chunking in order to help implement the things that bring you joy. And again, a support system to help you keep your boundaries and make sure that you're like showing up for yourself or showing up for someone else. A great example of this is group classes at my gym. And I'm not pitching, obviously. Like I don't think any of y'all could come to the gym, but what I see in group class is quite remarkable because there's a whole tribe at 8:45 and all those ladies know each other. And if they don't show up, then the next class they're like, hey, where were you? And then for me personally, it's my friends who are local in Austin who are like, hey, we haven't had coffee in a while. Let's go grab coffee. I'm like, oh crap. I look at my calendar and I literally don't have time. But then I remind myself, okay, this is a value of mine and I need to actually make time to enrich these relationships so I can feel sane again, so I can feel like a little piece of myself. All right, so those two things feel very close to you, I'm sure. Now we're starting to talk a little bit more about strategies on the nutrition and fitness side. So when you're looking at trying to be more confident in your skin and just feeling better about yourself in general, nutrition is a big part of that, because if you're eating your leftover kids mac and cheese or their French fries, it's gonna end up weighing you down. You're not gonna feel great, and it's gonna cause a ripple effect. And even though you're in survival mode, you still got to eat. Everybody's got to eat. And so being able to focus on nutrition in a way that's going to give you that energy back. So then that way, at the end of the day, you're not just lying down on the couch and watching TV. You actually have energy to go play with your kids. Nutrition is important. That's where nutrition is important. I mean, yeah, you want to eat vegetables so you don't get sick and like you can live longer and blah, blah, blah. But on an energetic level, it's going to make you feel really great about yourself. And then that's where your physicality can start changing. And so you'll get an aesthetic, boost of confidence as well. So it's just a win-win. I'm a huge fan of eating healthy. But the reality is like we don't always know what to eat. We need something that like our kids can eat and that our spouse can eat and that we can eat. And so it's really hard to manage all of that. And I can completely relate because my husband doesn't eat like I eat, but my kid does, which is kind of funny. Or like, hey, your kids don't want to eat what you cook. That's a thing, or that you don't have time to cook. That's also a real thing. Like, again, all of this is fact. So I'm not discrediting what you might be experiencing, but the truth is that if you had a guide that was specific to kind of chipping away at that first step of nutrition and improving it, I'll call it upgrading. If we can upgrade your nutrition with just one thing, what would that be? A lot of times it's water or upgrading your breakfast, something so simple so we can get wins under our belt. If we have those easy strategies, we feel like we can accomplish something. We feel like we're moving the needle. And then once we have enough really easy habits under our belt and we're practicing that daily, then that's when we can start optimizing what the nutrition actually looks like. And we can start looking at like, oh, do we need to eat less in order to look a certain way? Or do we actually need to eat more in order to fuel our bodies for breastfeeding or pregnancy or whatever? So the truth about nutrition is that, you know, it's very busy, it's very noisy out there. Like, what is keto? What is paleo? What is all this stuff? But when you're mom, you need to scale it back and keep it simple. And so having a nutrition guide to focus on nourishing your body and having it habit-based before we move on to optimizing for aesthetics is truly like where everyone can start. Or at least that's what I believe. So now we start talking about workouts. So we've gone through the mental stuff, right? We've gone through the logistics stuff of time. We dabbled on nutrition. So now this is the workouts. I think this is the easiest out of all the obstacles and problems. But then again, I've been in this industry for so long. When it comes to getting back into working out postpartum, common things that happen is like, okay, you need modifications depending on how your birth went or depending on how long it's been since you've had birth. And it could be that you're just feeling out of shape. I see this a lot with my clients, and it doesn't matter how far they are postpartum, where they come in and they're like, oh, well, I just feel too out of shape. I can't do this. And so then they've already checked themselves out mentally before even showing up and making that first step to working out. Hi, love. I'm gonna.
Sorry, we're late.
No, it's fine. I'm muting you. Not you, baby. So glad that you can join us. So yeah, I mean, I know Dana, you can relate, and everybody can relate to this. Is like, okay, so we just had a kid. Maybe we even want to start getting back to working out, but we don't even know where to start because we need modifications, especially postpartum. Depending on how your birth went, we have a lot of pelvic floor issues. And sometimes the pelvic floor doesn't always talk to our abs or our core. And that can linger to our ability to do thrusters, our ability to jump rope, our ability to really start introducing a decent fitness routine. But let's just say, like, hey, you're ready to go work out. It's hard to find a coach that actually is knowledgeable about where you are physically postpartum. So that's the reality of trying to get back to working out after having a baby. The truth is that we really just need, again, somebody who is in our support system and in our corner to advocate us, to help us implement a fitness routine that works for us. And then we also need an expert in the field, right? We need someone who's been through this, who understands what's going on with our body physically, who can scale us back and know when to move the needle forward. With my clients postpartum, every single client is different. Like I just had, so I won't talk about you, Diana, but I had two clients. One, she had her second C-section, and it took her 6 months to come back to start working out because she was 2 weeks late having her second kid. There was a ton of complications. and her core was shot. And what's interesting is like we were working out before she even got pregnant with her second kid. So her strength foundation and her like conditioning foundation was great, but it was just like her pregnancy was tough and her delivery was tough. And then also had someone, that popped out 4 kids, and her stamina is great, but her core is shot. And so she is strong, like she is able to lift close to body weight on deadlifts and do all these things, but we still have to scale so much back for her core because she had 4 kids and it's back to back. So it's her abs are really separated. So just having someone like that understands and that is knowledgeable about what your body is going through and being able to scale the workouts to where you can have some wins under your belt. And what I think that works postpartum for working out that's easy is to lower your expectations with fitness. Time is so hard to get when you have kids. And when I had Gray, I started out with 5-minute workouts. And then if he kept sleeping, I would turn my 5-minute workouts into 15-minute workouts. And for someone who was a competitive weightlifter to only do 5-minute workouts, it was an ego blow for real. But what I realized is like, if my value is to work out again and 5 minutes is all I can commit to, then I am going to optimize those 5 minutes. And so that is a strategy you can take home with you, is that if you have 5 minutes, move. 5 minutes is better than no minutes. And don't judge yourself if you can't get this elaborate workout in, because we're just beginning and we're trying to get wins under our belt. So it's exercise time. And I know some of y'all might be driving or doing other things, but I really encourage you to sit down right now and take a few minutes to think about what you want your ideal life or your ideal self to look like in 3 to 6 months. And I'm going to do this homework with you too. I'll set the timer for like 3 minutes. But when you're thinking about this exercise, I want you to go really deep. Like, how much energy do you want when you wake up in the morning? How do you want to feel? If you have multiple kids, like, how do you want your time to be spent with them? How do you want your life to look like with your husband? How do you want to feel about your husband? How do you want to feel about your kids? What do you not like about what you're doing now that you want to see change in the future? An example for me is that I can easily lay down horizontal on the couch a lot longer than I'd like to admit, especially since I wake up so early in the morning. But then that's cutting into my time with Gray. And if Gray is one of my highest priorities in life, but yet I lay horizontal, then that's not really how I want my role to be as a mom. And I don't want our life to look like that. So setting the timer for 3 minutes, and I want you to just write it out. Write it out. So go ahead. All right, we have about a minute left. Okay. So I'm going to share mine. And I just did mine bullet point style. And then if y'all want to share, I'll unmute you and you can share. So for me, what I would like to see in 3 to 6 months is me having more quality time with my husband in an alone setting. I definitely need more. Not so much alone time with my husband, but more quality alone time with him. And I want to be able to play more with Gray in an exchange level where, he's responding to me playing with him and I'm responding to him. I want to have like some half days with Gray where I plan for us to go to the aquarium in the middle of the week. I also want to have more friend dates, so having a goal of 3 friend dates a month, and then feel a sense of freedom with work and have gratitude and courage throughout Gray's health journey. So these are some things that if I was to wave a magic wand, I would want to emulate this in a few months. Does anybody else want to share?
I'll share, Lindsay. I can totally relate to you with like the marriage thing, having more energy for my husband. And I know that I don't know you guys, so sorry if it's TMI, but just for like fun date sex instead of just always focusing on like the kids. Like I think that's really important to put energy into your marriage. So and a healthy mind that can better control stress and anxiety, playing and being more present with the kids. I have some similar goals that you do as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I can really relate to like the fun part. And Brian and I are pretty damn fun, I think. So, but we're fun as a family. And so I kind of, I miss the fun that we had just with us two. And so being able to cultivate that time or setting aside time to do that is definitely where I'm leaning more towards. Okay. So I think this exercise is powerful because if we don't know where we're going, then we don't know what we need to practice to get there. It's just like if you were trying to, like if I was trying to go to Claire's house, I would have to actually put her address in the GPS. And if you don't have that address, then it could it could take days for you to get to Claire's house or weeks or whatever because you actually don't know exactly where you're going. But if you have her address, you can actually have 3 or 4 different routes to get to her house. So I would utilize this in the same capacity. Know where you're going so you can know what to focus on. So what if you had a roadmap, clarity, and support to consistently show up for yourself each day, to work out, eat healthy, and feel like your best self? This is exactly why I created the Elevated Motherhood program. So I created this program for a few different reasons. One, I wish I had it when I had Gray, because like I said earlier on the call, I wanted to be a part of a support group. I wanted to be, go to moms meetup. But during COVID, they didn't really have as many. And then as a working mom, the times never worked. And then when I did I felt like I was in sales all over again. I was trying to cold call on moms in the Facebook groups. And I just would find myself forcing these relationships that didn't serve me when really I just wanted someone who I could relate to to help, make me feel like I wasn't alone, make me feel like I wasn't crazy, and to kind of support me and to empower me to be a better version of myself, just like the roadmap we just wrote out. And so that's why I decided to build this program, is because like I could create a mom's group. Even Diana and I have talked about it. It's like, yeah, we want a mom's group, but when will we meet? What will we talk about? Who are we going to find these people? I mean, it's like, so then I'm like, I don't know. I think I would just prefer to coach with individuals in a one-on-one level. So then that way I can show up 100% for them and respect them where they are in their journey, because that is different for every mom, for every stage that you're at. And so being able to really support you on a one-on-one level to guide you through like what's going to help you show up as your best self. And through my experience, that is going to be with working out, which in this program, it would be online. You would still get one-on-one coaching in an online setting, and we would do it through video feedback. We would also meet one-on-one on calls like every other week. And then every other week we would do an email check-in. And on the email check-in, that's when we could really dive into the nutrition and the strategies and logistics. Whereas the calls, I anticipate that's going to be more overcoming obstacles on the implementation side. So with the nutrition coaching that you would get the weekly guidance. It would all be custom, right? Because some people are like, oh, heck yeah, give me the macro counting. I'm ready to do that. And then other moms are like, nope, just survival mode. I'm just going to need to drink water, please. Thank you. And other people could be kind of in the middle, like, all right, well, I do a lot of things right, but still I don't feel nourished and I'm not like losing weight, if that's your goal. And so that's why I like a custom nutrition approach. So that way we can focus on habits. And then if you want to dial it up, we can start talking about optimization. With this program, I am implementing mindset, because that is what helps me and what continues to help me. After I had Gray was the first time that I really took the mindset stuff seriously. And I've been in this industry for so long, and I know how important your mindset is, but it's just like a muscle. It's just like coming to the gym and working out. If you're not practicing it on a daily basis, Tony Robbins calls it weeds. Like weeds will grow up, and weeds are always going to grow up. So you just always have to pick out the weeds, and you have to really groom the mind so that when weeds do grow, you know where they go and you can pull them out quickly. And that comes with a lot of easy mindset strategies that aren't specific to meditation, like gratitude practice and just alone time and taking a bath and self-care and being able to like work on our 90-day goals and stay specific to that. Another thing is I will have group calls, whether you can hop on them or not, they'll be recorded, but it's going to be someone that has already done this. That's going to be ahead of you. Like I'm talking with moms who also run like multiple businesses and have, numerous kids and are in a place where they just feel at peace and calm. So this 16-week sustainable health program is for you to be your best self and to show up in a way where you want to, not because you're just surviving to get by. So I wanted to talk about the framework of this program, but also feel free to take what speaks to you when I talk about the framework. And I pulled this from what I believe gets you from point A to Claire's house or point B, and then through my clients' experience. So I've worked with so many clients, so many. Still, even now, like I got all kinds of clients. And the framework always stays the same. So when you show up, you got to get your mindset right. So if you're not motivated to change, or if there's not enough pain to change, you're not going to change, because there's nothing driving you towards that. And even if you like, a good way to think about this is weight loss. So if you want to lose weight and you should be losing weight, but you actually don't care to lose weight, then when things happen like, oh, I gotta take my kid to the doctor, or, I gotta pick him up early, or, I gotta do this, those things are gonna come or take a priority, and your priorities are gonna take a back seat because your mindset is not set. So the mental practice, your 90-day goals, and your daily like focus on what you want to achieve is very important for step one. Once you're committed, you're showing up, then it's a time and scheduling issue. So focusing on like carving out the time that works in your schedule. And this is a lot of trial and error. So the time, at least for babies, right? Like sometimes they sleep, sometimes they don't sleep. So we need to be a little more flexible at the beginning of implementing some of these habit changes because our schedule is still in flux. And so once we're able to block out time for our priorities, we're constantly going to be able to get the ball moving. That's when we start focusing on habits and strategies. And this is all the stuff y'all are familiar with. Okay, workouts. What are the workouts? We need to start with strength, then we'll sprinkle in conditioning. We'll start with 5 minutes, then 15, then 30, then 45. Then we'll start adding with the nutrition. All right, are we drinking enough water? We are. Great. Like, let's look at adding vegetables. Oh, the kid won't eat it. Okay, well, let's do this. Like, this is the actual strategies and the nuts and bolts. But I'm sure you can see, like, I can give you all that information now. I could sell it to you in a PDF. But if we don't have our mindset dialed in and we're not committed and we don't have it blocked out in our schedule and have troubleshooted that, then we're not able to practice the strategies in a consistent way. And being inconsistent gives us a yo-yo effect. So the next thing is like, okay, we have all of our tools in our toolbox, we're set. Now it's about being consistent and practicing the routine that works for us. People yo-yo on this all the time. Oh, going out on vacation and I just can't get back to it. Or, something big has happened and I am just emotionally exhausted. I can't get back to it. I mean, it's easy for me to say like, oh, well, Gray is having all these medical issues. I don't want to work out. Yeah, there are some times where I don't want to do it. Now I'd rather have a burger than a salad. But giving into those like effort moments is going to keep us in the middle. So being able to troubleshoot and get a consistent routine going, that's when you're actually able to optimize. And the optimizations are going to be like nutritional timing and supplements and everything that, like, these are kind of your diets, right? Like your keto, your paleo, all that stuff. And people don't always get to the optimization part, but once you get here, that's when we're tweaking things. This is usually more of an aesthetics category when we get here. But if we're practicing our mindset and we're able to schedule things and hold that time, we know the habits to practice, and we're consistent, then this usually is optional. But I always like to walk clients through that depending on where they are in this process. So this is the framework that I use in the gym, that my clients use, and that I'll be coaching y'all through. So what are my clients saying? Lindsay, I've worked with her since she had her second baby. And what I loved about this girl is that she was so consistent. I tell her to eat A, B, and C, and she ate it. I mean, this girl, she has amazing results, and she's super strong. I am just so proud of her for her determination. And she has that type A personality too, so it's super easy for her to implement all this stuff. And then Liz, I've worked with her since her second baby. And she felt really confident in simply the workouts and feeling strong again and feeling like her old self prior to her two kids. Jamie, I love her. I worked with her before she had her fourth kid. And then, so everything has changed with working with her. And we kind of, let's see, going back to this framework. So with Jamie, when she wasn't pregnant with her fourth kid, we were here. We were in the optimization stage. We were counting macros. We were losing weight. Then she got pregnant. So we came back to these two stages. We're like, okay, well, how are we feeling? Are we nauseous? She got super nauseous. So we kind of dialed back the intensity. And then now I work with her postpartum, and we're all the way here. So it's a time and schedule issue because we're trying to get childcare and what else is going on? Yeah, childcare is the big one, and then sleeping. So now we're starting all the way back here, and we're going to build up from there. So what's the difference between my program and other programs? And there's not a right or wrong way. I believe that a lot of people start with the online programs because they're just trying to figure out if it can work for them. And the issue is that there is no one-on-one coaching support. And there might be group forums, like there might be Facebook groups, but there's no level of support that really helps you get over the hump if you're having these obstacles of time issues and not sleeping and or just feeling unmotivated, or having your kid and needing different modifications for that. The nutrition support usually is pretty general, and I think that nutrition should always be customized to the client because everybody has a nutrition story. Everybody has their own food values. Some people value gluten-free, some people value vegan. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. Some people just, value like an 80-20 approach. And some people are like, no, I want to go ahead and count my macros and like get this done. So, it's just general support, right? And then there's no mindset or recovery support. They're saying like, oh, you should sleep 8 hours. Well, yeah, we all know that. But how do you do that when you have kids? Come on. My kid didn't sleep for from midnight to 3 a.m. And I'm like, okay, so what do I do with this? Do I cancel my workout or do I go? And then it's up to you to actually implement the work. And so what I see is clients will buy all of these online programs and then they're just kind of wasting their money because it's still up to you to implement it, but you still have these obstacles you haven't like troubleshooted. With my program, you're getting that one-on-one support. It is a higher ticket price, so you have more accountability in that, but you're getting a lot more support. You're getting feedback on the workouts, and the workouts are going to be more custom to where you are, and it is pregnancy safe and postpartum safe, and it really just kind of depends on like where your body is and what you want to do with that. And then the nutrition support is custom because we have those weekly check-ins. So I'll give you like a framework of like, oh, okay, based on your intake form, this is where I think we should start. And then each week we'll check in and be like, oh, okay, well, this worked, this didn't work. And these are my issues. And then I'll help troubleshoot like, okay, well, if this worked, let's keep doing that. And if this isn't working, then we'll evaluate where that is in our priority list. And then focusing on the actual nourish part with the cleanse instead of, just trying to restrict your calories, which I'm not like a huge fan of unless we're in the aesthetic phase. I provide the mindset work in order for you to stay focused, grounded. I've gotten people to lose a ton of weight and they weren't happy. And so I really push mindset work now because we're all chasing a feeling, right? We want to feel X. And that feeling is from the mind. It's not a physical thing. We might want a feeling based on physical results, but you usually have to work on both in order to get to that point. And then honestly, it's just about like implementation strategies to support the consistency. We should all probably be doing squats. We should all probably be doing glute bridges. We know to eat vegetables, but there's a lot of reasons why it doesn't get implemented. And it's not our fault, and it's not like right or wrong. It's just hard. You just got to figure out what's working for you and your lifestyle, and everyone's lifestyle is different. So my program, the cost is 16 weeks or 4 months, and it's $2,400. And when I wrote this, I was like, man, this is a lot, but I am going to be providing a lot of value. What does it look like if people were to just do this on their own? And so with the online programs, if you went out on your own to do all the stuff that I'm going to be providing you, you would be spending $3,300 over 4 months. And so with that, you would have to, hire a nutrition coach. You would have to pay for workouts, and those workouts may or may not be specific to you and where you are physically. And then for your mental mindset stuff, you would get a therapist. And if you're having a lot of mental stuff, you'd get on medication. And so really, like, it all adds up. Even me, like eating out. Like, why is this always adding up? Why is it so expensive? So this is going to be a very, very specific custom program. It's not going to be for everyone because this is going to be a very custom approach. It is going to be a one-on-one approach. And I want this to make sense for you as well as for it to make sense for me to support you through the journey of getting to this ideal lifestyle that you want. So I'm going to be doing consultations. I'm actually, let's see. I'm going to be doing consultations to where I can really get to know you and your needs and make sure that I can help you and that this is a right fit for your program. So I am going to drop this link in Messenger if I know how to do that. Why is technology so hard sometimes? But again, you can always DM me on Instagram if you have any questions. Here we go. And so I know that, you might have not been on here to explore this option and that you wanted to get more strategies. So I kind of want to open it to questions to see, do you have any questions? It doesn't have to be specific about the program. It could be specific about you and what you're going through or what you need support on the nutrition, fitness, mom, business, mindset area. Do you have any questions?
Lindsay, I'd love to share your page. Like, is Instagram the best way if I like repost in a story so people can reach out to you? Is that the best way for people to get a hold of you?
Yeah, it's definitely the platform I check the most. So yeah, just like sharing that. And then I'll have this, I'm recording it. And so I'm going to be sharing access to this recording. So I can, if someone's interested, they can always DM me. I can send them the recording.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Do y'all have any other questions?
I don't have any questions, but thank you for putting this on. I'm only just now starting to, I feel like, get back into myself. And it's so hard to compare yourself to like where you were pre-baby to where you are post-baby. And you're trying so hard to get back to that pre-baby space. And so it's just like giving yourself that grace and maybe recognizing that like it might not ever look like what it did before. You're creating new things.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, but I will be honest, and just transparent, it doesn't feel good to feel like you're settling for that.
Right.
And I think for me personally, like my bar was so high pre-baby, and the fact that I couldn't bounce back in a timely manner, or even like when I lost the weight or got to this, I'll never forget, one of my clients, she came in and she was like, Lindsay, you look so good. And I'm like, I'm not sleeping. I'm not eating. I feel malnourished. I am stressed. Like, it was just such an interesting dynamic conversation because aesthetically I look good, but internally and mentally I was in survival mode and I didn't feel the way I looked, if that makes sense. Yeah, it's the whole thing is interesting because even I felt like physically I looked similar to what I did pre-baby, but performance-wise, like I couldn't lift a lot. I had a hernia with Gray, and so my core took double the amount of time to recover versus other people. And I'm the expert, right? Like I'm coaching moms on how to heal their core. And I had to go seek out a pelvic floor physical therapist because I had a hernia, and every time I would engage my core, it would push the hernia out and it would continue to separate my core. And I'm just like, what the hell? So it's all crazy. Even I had a client the other day. She asked me this, y'all are gonna laugh. She was like, Lindsay, did you feel like your body changed when you were pregnant in a way that you didn't expect it? And I was working on my desk and she was over here and I turned around and I was like, oh, everything. I said the one thing that changed in a way that I did expect to change was my belly. My belly got round and it stuck out. That was the only thing. I was like, but my arms were not toned. They were like swollen. My face was swollen. When you wear pregnancy shirts with a swollen face and swollen arms, you look puffy. My thighs would chafe. I was like, my feet were swollen. I was like, I had stretch marks on my ass. So the only thing that I was confident that I knew looked like it was supposed to was my belly. And I just remember
There you
thinking,
go.
yeah, I know. I did not know. I did not know.
I think it's such an important topic. I appreciate you just normalizing it and put it out there, especially as like first time moms, or at least I experience, like no one really talks about these issues. They don't know if it's just them. And I think, maybe as we like have another, we or go through it and hear other people talk about it, they're like, oh yeah, man, I felt that too. So I think it's so good for just putting it out there, helping mamas.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because I still was very confused and I feel like I'm woke. Like, so,
Mhm.
but when I would fill out the questionnaires about, postpartum anxiety, postpartum depression, I was like, well, no, I don't want to kill myself, but I'm not in a good place and I don't want to get on medication. And I felt like I was in a weird limbo and nobody was really there saying, no, this is normal, or hey, why don't you try this? It was a lot of trial and error on my own part to figure out, okay, this is how I feel. I don't want to feel like this. This is how I want to feel. How do I bridge this gap with all these things that are going on? Not sleeping, have no time, da 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 da. I can't, lift things heavy. So yeah, that's what brought me all this passion to share this type of program and to share like just more value and empowerment for individuals who are going through this, which are moms and women, and specifically ones who are working. So thank y'all so much for taking the time. I know that this was a big time commitment and I don't take that lightly. I really respect that and I thank you. And I have so much gratitude for y'all showing up today and being a part of this. And yeah, if you have any questions or if you want to do a consult, you can just click that below or DM me on Instagram and we'll go from there.
All right.
Thank
Thanks,
you so
Lindsay.
much,
Great
Lindsay.
to see you.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.